Hey, how you doing, Buckaroos? How they go? So I had an idea for a cocktail. A friend of mine, I made a cocktail for him last night. Had an idea of using our blueberry simple with a whiskey and a little maple syrup. So it tastes like blueberry pancakes. So I want to do something similar, but I didn't want to use the seltzer. And I didn't want to do it as a highball. I wanted more of an elegant kind of a dessert cocktail. So here's what I came up with. I'm tentatively calling it Blueberry Morning. So I've used the Wolcott here. I'll show you the whiskey in a second here. It is their 120 proof Rickhouse. And then I made a homemade blueberry maple simple. But then I added just a little bit, about 3 dashes of some lemon bitters. Now, what I would have loved to do if I had if I had a lemon, I would have just added a tiny bit of lemon zest to the simple and not use the bitters. But I wanted to use a little bit of that lemon to kind of brighten it up. And I like the way that looked. Now, I did try a version of this before here, or just a little bit before, using. I wanted to try it with an egg white foam, and although I like the egg white foam, it made the drink cloudy and kind of this strange kind of bluish green color, right? So I said, well, let's try it without that. And I like this color better, but I haven't tasted the drink yet. So here we go. I just like the way oh gosh, that's gorgeous. That's much better, actually. I like the way the egg foam looks on a cocktail. But in this particular case, it just took it in an odd direction. So this is actually much better. This makes a nice cocktail. Now, my wife's not a whiskey drinker, but I might try a version of this using her vanilla vodka, because I think she would like the blueberry maple syrup. And use quite a bit less liquor than I used. So I did make her a watermelon simple, but I want to try something with that for myself too. I don't know if it'll work with whiskey because watermelon is very subtle, but certainly I'm not going to try it with a Rickhouse. But the blueberry maple was pretty big, so I'm glad I did add the lemon bitters though. Again, if I had an actual lemon, which I usually do, but unfortunately I don't today, I would have added just a tiny bit of lemon zest to that simple, and then not use the bitters at all. But I like that little bit of brightness. Yeah, we'll forget about that egg wash version, egg foam version. You try things, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I formulate them here, I go all mad scientist at home, then I bring the finished product to work. And I've got a couple folks that say, what do you got, Tom? Surprise me. I said, well, I've been working on this. I haven't made it for anybody but me yet. So if you're feeling lucky, it's not on the official menu, but I have started doing a whiskey sour or Boston. I guess traditionally it was always a Boston sour, but a lot of folks are just calling it whiskey sour these days. Back in the day, being an old guy, a whiskey sour was typically served on the rocks, more like a highball. But you order a whiskey sour out. I've even seen it on shows like Bar Rescue when they were teaching them a whiskey sour. They taught them which was traditionally a Boston sour or in a coupe with the egg white. And I love that cocktail, so I'm using that at work, and it's very popular through the summer. Nice. That's very nice. See, that color is nice too. I wasn't sure what changed the color, right? If it was the egg white or the lemon zest. I thought, well, maybe the lemon zest made it. No, it was the egg white. Now I'm looking at this cocktail. It's definitely the egg white that clouded it the hell up. Made it kind of this weird Martian green kind of color. Anyways, I digress. in them. Boy, that is a nice cocktail though. Wow, that's tasty. I don't know why. Growing up, if I was having a drink, it was usually a highball. It was usually served in a. At home, it was more in a rocks glass, but out it was always in a short highball glass. But as I've gotten old, I used to say older, but now I'm probably officially old at 6. Now you're just old, Tom. Now I'm very old. Uh, I like a cocktail. I don't know why. I just like a drink in a coupe. I don't like the ice. This is probably more of an old-fashioned style cocktail, so many might want it in a rocks glass with the big cube. I don't like ice, right? Something like that presentation. There's not necessarily anything wrong with it. For some reason, they think they're getting more if it's in a different glass with an ice cube, but it's the same amount no matter what glass you put it in. But nevertheless, that's such a small glass. Well, the other glass is bigger, but you're not getting more stuff. It just looks like it's the presentation. But no, as I've gotten older, I really like the coupe, and I don't like. I didn't used to mind ice, but now I just don't want ice in my drink. And although I do want a drink like this to start out cold, it's not a drink that needs to stay ice cold from start to finish. That's why I don't mind it in a coupe. To do it right, though, make sure your coupe is chilled. Make sure you do a nice chill on your cocktail. But I will tell you for this one, unless it's a cocktail that has to be shaken, like, for instance, if you're putting an egg foam on it, I typically don't. I do prefer a stirred cocktail. So if I'm doing a Manhattan, it's going to be stirred. A martini is going to be stirred. And in this particular instance, yeah, I didn't shake this one. I did got it good and cold, put it into a chilled coupe, and here we go. Now, if I just made me this drink to sit and watch some TV with the wife, or put some music on to relax while I'm trying to do some writing, a drink like this would probably take me anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes to drink. Doing this video, I know you don't want to see me that long, so I'm probably going to be about 10 minutes. But typically, yeah, it would take me about 20 to 30 minutes. And even in that amount of time, I wouldn't be too concerned about it warming up. Too much, anyway. It is going to warm up, but again, if you've done your job right, it's going to have a nice chill from start to finish. It won't be as cold at the end, but the ingredients, you're not going to need it ice cold, right? I just think a lot of Americans are conditioned that everything, for whatever reason, has to be ice cold, and it doesn't. And a lot of that, in all honesty, could be my age, because I did think different 20 years ago. So, whatever you think now, just remember, as you get older, I made a comment about taking a nap the other day to somebody who's about 20 years younger than I am. And he made that comment that a lot of folks say when they're young, well, you can sleep when you're dead. Yeah. Tell me if you think that way when you're my age. Yeah, maybe I can, but I won't be enjoying that sleep. Right now, I can take a nap and enjoy that 20 minutes. Yeah. If I'm dead, I'm not enjoying that sleep because I'm not waking up again. It was a fun thing to say when you were younger, but I think if you're over 30, and the line doesn't make any sense. You can sleep when you're dead when you're dead. You're not sleeping. You're dead when you're dead. You're not sleeping. You're not enjoying it. That's the purpose of sleep, to get that rest you need to feel good about it, then wake up so you can be productive again. You can sleep when you're dead. Yeah. The more I think about that line, the more moronic it sounds to me. No, you don't sleep when you're dead. You're dead when you're dead. You're not enjoying it. Sleep implies that you're going to wake up at some point. So no, when you're dead, you are not sleeping. You're not waking up again. You're not going to jump up at some point and say, hey, I want to make some coffee. No, you're not going to do that. You're dead. It's over. Anyways, I digress. I got sidetracked there, which I tend to do from time to time. Mostly because this drink is really good, man. It's really tasty. Yeah. So for the simple, if you ever want to try it at home, what I did was I just made a standard simple, right? Equal parts. I did, kind of a mother batch, if you will. Just made a big batch of simple, equal parts water, sugar. Then I split it up into a couple batches. One I had some frozen blueberries in. The other some watermelon. But to the blueberries, I also added that bourbon barrel aged maple syrup that I mentioned earlier. So then I just pour that simple over there and just let it basically steep, right? Just let it sit. And the longer you let that sip, the better it's going to be. The blueberries, in all honesty, though, don't take a lot of time. Blueberries, there's a lot of flavor in the blueberries, especially that maple as well. So, I mean, it got to that big, deep blue color I wanted in just a few minutes. Now, the watermelon, that one takes a little more time. So that one's a little more subtle. So the longer you let that one sit and steep, the more watermelon flavor you're going to get out of it. But and you can do this any way you want. You don't necessarily have to do it my way, but I don't want to cook the fruit, right, per se. So I don't toss it into boiling water. I use an electric kettle to heat the water. I pour it over the sugar, get the sugar completely melted, and then I pour it over the fruit. So it's no longer on heat, right? It's just basically steeping at this point. And I've done a hibiscus syrup the same way. That was really good as well. So far, I'm having a pretty good track record at work. When I try something new, or when I use a customer as a guinea pig, I say, well, I got this, but nobody's ever done it before. And I always tell them, listen, if for whatever reason you don't like it, I won't charge you for the drink. This one's on me. And so far, I've never had to have one on me. So, but a lot of it is just. It's not that I'm that good. Let me take that off the table. It's just that knowing your customers, right? Knowing your folks. Knowing what I make certain things, and I don't offer everything to every customer. So, but I know your taste. I think you might like this. So this is what I'm going to mention to you. Anyways, I really like this one. Again, I'm going to still tentatively call it Blueberry Morning, at least here at home. I don't want to call it blueberry pancakes because it has a little bit more. The syrup would imply that, but the lemon zest, I want to say blueberry morning. So, anyways, I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, believer, whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, all around good guy. Slouch it.